Hi all, I'm Mr. Mendoza, second grade teacher at Webb Du Bois Charter Academy with Agape Schools in Fresno. In this fourth portion of Two of Everything, in this fourth part, we are going to actually read the full story of Stone Soup. It's a little bit different than the other one that I had for step 3. Hopefully you enjoy this one. Stone Soup by Marcia Brown. An old tale, told and pictured by Marcia Brown. When it says an old tale, it's a folk tale passed down from generation to generation for many, many years. Wonder what is this book going to be about? Soldiers in the woods? Three soldiers trudged down a road in a strange country. They were on their way home from the wars. Besides being tired, they were hungry. In fact, they had eaten nothing for 2 days. How I would like a good dinner tonight, said the first. And a bed to sleep in, said the second. But all that is impossible, said the third. We must march on. On they marched. Suddenly, ahead of them, they saw the lights of a village. Maybe we'll find a bite to eat there, said the first. And a loft to sleep in, said the second. All they're looking for is a nice place to sleep and eat. Will the villagers help them? No harm in asking, said the third. Now the peasants of that place feared strangers. When they heard that 3 soldiers were coming down the road, they talked among themselves. If they feared strangers, what do they think about people that they don't know or strangers? What do they think? Think about it. If they fear them, they're scared of them. Here comes 3 soldiers. Soldiers are always hungry, but we have little enough for ourselves. And they hurried to hide their food. They pushed sacks of barley under the hay in the lofts. They lowered buckets of milk down the wells. Hey, these villagers have food. Why don't they want to share it with the soldiers? Is that very nice of them to do that? Will they end up sharing with the soldiers? Or will the soldiers just keep on walking? Let's find out. They spread old quilts over the carrot bins. They hid their cabbages and potatoes under the beds. They hung their meat in the cellars. They hid all they had to eat. Then they waited. The soldiers stopped first at the house of Paul and Franchise. Good evening to you, they said. Could you spare a bit of food for 3 hungry soldiers? We have had no food for ourselves for 3 days, said Paul. Franchise made a sad face. It has been a poor harvest. These are the villagers in the house, basically lying to them, telling them they've had a poor harvest. They don't want to share. Rude. The 3 soldiers went on to the house of Albert. And would you spare a bit of food and have you some corner where we could sleep for the night? Albert said, No, we gave all we could spare to soldiers who came before you. Beds are full, said Lois. At Vincent and Marie's, the answer was the same. It had been a poor harvest, and all the grain must be kept for seed. So it went all through the village. Not a peasant had any food to give away. They all had good reasons. One family had used the grain for feed. Another had an old sick father to care for. All had too many mouths to fill. Again, they're just lying. They don't want to share their food. Wonder what are the 3 soldiers going to do? Then the first soldier called out, Good people! The peasants drew near. We are 3 hungry soldiers in a strange land. We have asked you for food, and you have no food. Well then, we'll have to make stone soup. Oh, I thought the soldiers were going to start shooting at him or something like that. Sometimes soldiers are pretty mean. Not them. I guess they decided to stay outside, stay outdoors, and cook stone soup. Hey, something, something, I guess. The peasants stared. Stone soup? That would be something to know about. The peasants are all admiring and just staring and wondering what's going to happen here. First, we'll need a large iron pot, the soldiers said. The peasants brought the largest pot they could find. How else to cook enough? That's none too large, said the soldiers, but it will do. And now water to fill it and a fire to heat it. It needs to have some hot water. It took many buckets of water to fill the pot. A fire was built on the village square and the pot was set to boil. And all the villagers are hanging around. But they feared strangers. So why are they still hanging around? Why are they still hanging around all the soldiers? Maybe they just really want to know who the soldiers are and if they are soldiers that are needy. I guess now they're helping out. All the villagers are helping out. Will the villagers start helping out and pitching in food like the other one? I guess not yet. At least the water's boiling. They'll have nice hot water to take a bath with. Now they're adding the stone to it. Look at how I'm just looking at the illustrations and telling about what's going on in the illustrations, because sometimes some books just have an illustration for you to talk about with no text in it. And now, if you please, 3 round smooth stones. Those were easy enough to find. The peasants' eyes grew round as they watched the soldiers drop the stones into the pot. 3 stones. In they went. Any soup needs salt and pepper, said the soldiers as they began to stir. Children ran to fetch salt and pepper. So hold on. On the last one, it was one man, one hungry man that went to the village. Now there are 3. And now the 3 soldiers asked for salt and pepper first. And children ran to fetch the salt and pepper. Now the villagers are helping him out. Children ran to fetch or grab the salt and pepper for them. Stones like these generally make good soup, but oh, if there were carrots, it would be much better. Hold on. First they asked for salt and pepper. Now they want carrots. Will the villagers help them? Or will the villagers say, no, we don't have any because they lied in the beginning? Why are they going to change their mind now? Maybe they're sympathizing with the soldiers, and now maybe they think soldiers really are hungry. They're not here to harm us. Any soup needs salt and pepper, said the soldiers as they began to stir. Children ran to fetch the salt and pepper. Stones like these generally make good soup, but oh, if there were carrots, it would be much better. Will they get carrots? Why, I think I have a carrot or two, said Frangois, and off she ran. She grabbed all kinds of carrots for them. She came back with her apron full of carrots from the bin beneath the red quilt. Now they're getting all their food out from where they hid it. So now they trust the strangers. A good stone soup should have cabbage, said the soldiers, as they sliced the carrots into the pot. But no use asking for what you don't have. Do they have it or don't they have it? They have everything. They're just hiding everything. So now I know that their stone soup is coming together. And now it will actually be a big, beautiful soup if it'll have cabbage and carrots, salt and pepper. That's probably enough right there. I think I could find a cabbage somewhere, said Mary, and she hurried home. Back she came with 3 cabbages from the cupboard under the bed. Now cabbage. If we only had a bit of few potatoes. Now it's first carrots, cabbage, and now potatoes. This soup would be good enough for a rich man's table. The peasants thought that over. They remembered their potatoes and the sides of beef hanging in the cellars. They ran to fetch them. Not only did they go and get potatoes, but they also went to get the beef. This is a really good story. Now, a rich man's soup, and all from a few stones. It seemed like magic. Another magical story. And they're all real happy now. And I wonder what else are they taking to this soup, to the soldiers. They're taking all sorts of good stuff. Ah, sighed the soldiers as they stirred in the beef and potatoes. If we only had a little barley and a cup of milk, this soup would be a fit for the king himself. Indeed, he asked for just such a soup when last he dined with us. The peasants looked at each other. The soldiers had entertained the king well. But no use asking for what you don't have, the soldiers sighed. The peasants brought their barley from the lofts. They brought their milk from the wells. The soldiers stirred the barley and milk into the steaming broth while the peasants stared. Now, this has all kinds of good stuff: salt, pepper, for stones, of course, salt, pepper, cabbage, potatoes, carrots, barley, meat. They actually, that's not a soup anymore, that's a stew. And now what's going on? They're setting up a table back here. They're setting up tables. They're setting up the torch. And there's a beautiful stream running down. You can tell. Kids are all around. Everyone's ready to have a feast. At last the soup was ready. All of you shall taste, the soldier said, but first the table must be set. Great tables were placed in the square, and all around were lighted torches. Such a soup! How good it smelled! Truly fit for a king. But then the peasants asked themselves, would not such a soup require bread and a roast and cider? Soon a banquet was spread, and even no one sat down, and even one everyone sat down to eat. Never had there been such a feast. Never had the peasants tasted such a soup, and fancy, made from stones. See, they have to trust people that they don't know. They can't just have fear for strangers. Everyone here is having a ball, I can tell. They're bringing their drinks, they're bringing a roast, they're bringing bread also. Wow, I'd love to be part of that village. And everyone sat down at the table. There was room for everyone. Good things for us to learn from. They ate and drank and ate and drank, and they danced. They had a feast, a party, a bit of a ball, if I may say. They danced and sang far into the night. At last they were tired. Then the three soldiers asked, is there not a loft where we could sleep? They still asked again for a place to sleep. And I think they will get a place to sleep now that they have gained the trust of all the villagers. Let three such wise and splendid gentlemen sleep in a loft. Indeed, they must have the best beds in the village. So the first soldier slept in the priest's house. The second soldier slept in the baker's house, and the third soldier slept in the mayor's house. They all had the best beds in town. But right afterward, it looks like they're going already. I guess they went to bed, and now they're leaving. In the morning, the whole village gathered in the village to send them off. "You have taught us," the peasants said to the soldiers, "we shall never go hungry, now that we know how to make now that we know how to make soup from stones." Okay, it's good knowing, said the soldiers, and off they went down the road. All they wanted is some soup. Villagers didn't want them. Villagers didn't want to help them. But in the end, everyone had a fair share of awesome soup.